Empowered Moon Astrology. I'm your host, Chase Petiche, astrologer and psycho-spiritual consultant. And I'm here today to talk to you about the new moon solar eclipse on the 14th of December, this Monday, and what it means. So we've been in an eclipse tunnel. 2 weeks ago for the full moon, we had a full moon lunar eclipse in Gemini, and now we're going to be having a solar eclipse, full new moon solar eclipse in Sagittarius. Those two signs are opposing one another in the zodiac. And Sagittarius is a mutable fire sign. It rules, it's the philosopher, the gypsy, the student, the traveler. It is this constant energy of needing to broaden your horizons, learn. But underneath all of that, in a deeper way, it's really about seeking meaning in life's existence, seeking meaning, seeking truth. At its deepest, Sagittarius is really about seeking the deepest truth, and broadening one's horizons, completely flipping one's experiences to understand a whole new way of living in order to find that truth. Sagittarius is ruled by the planet Jupiter, and Jupiter is called the Great Benefic within the zodiac. It is this energy of, it's the largest, planet in our solar system. It's coming up on this huge Jupiter-Saturn conjunction that's coming up on the 21st of December, which I will talk about in another video. But it is obviously, it rules this energy of deep faith, optimism, trust, this deep understanding that life is worth living, and fundamentally that you are able to trust in this universe. And so this is really something that I wanted to talk about today, because I wanted to just ask you all to really ask yourselves, what is your fundamental belief about the universe? And do you really trust what you feel to be true? Because we're in this time right now that is like so based in facts and truth and what is real and what is not. And, everything that I'm about is about recalibrating the energies of the feminine on the planet. And what I believe that means within each of us means cultivating, harnessing, bringing witness to, and empowering our intuition, because we have lived in this highly patriarchal, bureaucratic, overly rational system for so long that we have been completely trained out of our intuition, which is really, a higher level of our instinct. It's our animal nature, our wildness, the thing that makes us human, the thing that makes us, that is the birth of our creativity, that is the foundation for whence, the reasons how we are guided in life is based in our instinct. The higher level of that is our intuition as humans. And, the work that I do is really about harnessing this energy, so that, because when you have a hold on your intuition, and you have a hold on understanding your own deeper feelings about things and how you are being guided towards them, you ultimately have a deep trust in life, and you believe ultimately that you are guided. And so that's really what I want to talk to you guys about today, because I think a lot in my practice, I see a lot of people that come to me that are not in tune with their intuition, and we've been completely trained out of it, and finally now I really believe that we're at a point in the 21st century where the witches of the world can really come out of the closet and can begin to, and not in a way that's like, I'm pagan, spell casting, deek. No, I'm talking about the power that each and every single one of us has as human beings on this planet to begin to own our spiritual power, and to be able to realize that we are actually channels through which a universal energy and current flows through, and that part of our own selves is actually in a higher plane. It's called our higher self. It's outside of our bodies, just as we are inside of our bodies. And this part of ourselves is actually guiding us towards our highest evolution, towards our highest destiny, towards the fulfillment of our ultimate potential, which is really why I believe I am here on this planet, and why, each and every one of us is here on this planet. We have come here to fulfill some sort of potential, and we have been locked into these systems that have trained us out of our own inner knowing and our own inner direction. And what I am here to do is to try to help you cultivate this energy again and to reinvigorate this energy within yourself. And so the reason why I'm bringing this up is because Sagittarius and this eclipse in Sagittarius is all about trust and trust of your intuition. And so that is really what I want to ask you guys all today. Like, are you in tune with your inner guidance? And if you are, do you trust it? Because these are two fundamentally different things. Because yes, each and every one of us, we have an intuitive center. We have gut feelings about things. We have a feeling when something's not right. We intuitively know. But we've been so trained out of trusting that feeling. We've actually literally been trained out of it by the rise of rationality and the overtaking of rationality over intuition in our world. Because intuition cannot defend itself against rationality, which means if you have a feeling about something and you just know it to be true and you can't explain why, and somebody asks you to explain why, you're going to come up with no answer, and that person will always win. And so rationality, because they're asking you to argue something that has no basis, right? And yes, I understand that, we are where we are on this planet because of this thing about facts and arguing and everything. But what I believe is we've gone so far in this direction of rationality that it's spinning out of control. It's like completely out of control. And we have to get back to our spiritual center within ourselves to know when something is right for us. Okay? I'm not talking about anybody else here except you, yourself, your own spirit, and your own internal guidance, which lives within you. But the only way to begin to live in accordance with it and to begin to actually be guided towards your higher levels of existence, consciousness, life experience, attainment of your potential is to trust it. And this is the fundamental piece, because I have worked with so many people, so many women that do not trust their intuition. And when you do not trust and or act on your intuition, what ends up happening is you are telling yourself that you are not worthy of your own internal guidance. And therefore you need to seek approval. You need to rationalize. You need to argue, discuss your decisions with people outside of yourself. And ultimately this goes back to religion, right? Like the God, right? The patriarchs, the people of the church were outside. They were the judgment, right? We went to them, however many years ago. I never did, but to get approval, to know that our life is going in the right direction. And what I believe, and what the true shadow work and what the 21st century is bringing, is it's bringing this rise of spirituality. But what this means is that it's beginning to trust your own internal guidance and trusting it and then acting on it. Because though that gap in between where you can get internal guidance, and you may in your deep, deep shadow self within your own being know that that's true. But because there's so many layers upon layers in our culture of having to prove ourselves and having to prove that something is valid or right or true for us, we get lost in that. And then we lose ourselves. And I truly believe that this is the reason why so many people are on antidepressants, are spinning and spinning and spinning, because they're out of tune with their own internal guidance, which is their higher self, which is their connection to God and the trusting of this. So, trust, it really is. It's a spiritual practice. It's a spiritual practice, and it's really the origin of all magic. It's the origin of when it's the origin of seeing something that you believe to be know is true so deeply and so firmly within yourself, and then watching it show up for you. I mean, that's essentially what magic is, right? It's beyond synchronicity. It's beyond coincidence. It's literally, it's a miracle, right? It's when something makes no sense, but somehow shows up. And it's generally when we're in line with where we're supposed to be heading, and we have this deeper feeling that something is right, and we don't know how it's actually going to work out, but we follow that feeling, even if we come up against obstacles, but we hold to our deeper own internal truth. We hold to that truth. What ends up happening is life ends up showing up for us time and time again. And what also ends up happening simultaneously is that we end up building a deeper sense of self-worth. And this is fundamental. This is really the origin of why so many of us are depressed, lonely, unable to find our way, unable to find our path, is because when we dismiss, this is the deep shadow spiritual energy of ourselves, okay? When we dismiss our own internal feeling about something, whether or not we believe that it's right for us, if we have an inkling of a feeling and we ignore it because for whatever reason we don't want to believe it, because a lot of times our intuition, it means that we have to make choices in our life that is divergent from our path that we're on. And it means that we have consequences. There's consequences. There's difficulties that arise. But there's also freedom. There's also self-worth. There's also integrity. There's also this alignment with your higher self. There's also this embodiment and the parts of yourself, you know, when they say that there's soul retrieval, people are the current paradigm, people have lost the pieces of their soul. It's because there's all of these pieces where we're living our lives for others, where we're living our lives in accordance with rationality, rationalizing our existence, checking off the boxes. But the only way out of that truly is to go within and to begin to trust what you feel to be right for you in the direction of your own life. And what will this begin to do? And take action in accordance with that. And what this will begin to do is it will begin to build the deeper levels of self-worth. You will begin to have this deeper, fundamental, foundational space within the self where you begin to, the universe will react in kind. Because that you are building that, you are trusting yourself, you are taking steps, your life will begin to show up for you. You will begin to see it. That is how trust works. That is how faith works. That is how Jupiter works. That is how Sagittarius works. And that is what this entire eclipse is bringing into focus, okay? And this is just so important because and this is different because it's not the same as this manifestational energy that the spiritual community, is into, of just, yes, manifestation is part of yang energy. Yes, we create our reality. Yes. But there's also, but we have been so trained into that for so long that it's really this intuitive side, opening up to your intuition, is really about receiving. It's about receiving, opening, allowing, trusting. The fundamental piece is trusting. And from that, you begin to allow in what is ready to come. It's not about pushing and striving, because a lot of that comes from these deeper things of I should have this, or I really want this. But when we don't do the deeper levels of self-worth that are based in this intuitive self-worth piece, the crux of it being the self-worth and beginning to follow what we feel to be right for us, then we're lost and we're just kind of on this hamster wheel of manifestation. I call that black magic, because we're creating things that we're not totally in line with, that our spirit is not totally in line with. And this is when you really begin to own your witch power. This is when you really begin to own your spiritual power, is when you become very in tune with your own deeper sense of self and where you are headed. And you begin to allow yourself to get comfortable with the unknown and the mystery. And that is what the whole trusting energy is. You start to get comfortable with not knowing what your next steps are, but trusting what you feel to be right. And, it's really as simple, you guys, as becoming be bringing witness to your own internal self, bringing witness to what feels right for you. I think we are so trained to be uncomfortable and to put ourselves in uncomfortable situations. There's the uncomfortable situations that make us grow, but then there's the uncomfortable situations because we're diminishing ourselves, and we should, for whatever reason. And what I'm saying here is that these situations are not serving us. We need to get back to the point where we actually are becoming in tune with what actually feels right and starting to make choices in our life in accordance with that. I just have story after story, and this is really the origin of magic. This is how magic shows up in your life. I remember when I was really getting into this energy of opening, allowing, and trusting myself and trusting my intuition. And I needed a house, and I had no idea how I was going to get the house. And I had a very certain budget, and I was living in Seattle, and the prices in Seattle are insane. And I knew where I wanted to live, and I'm so solitary, and I'm so spiritual, and I needed a house, and I had a budget. And I had this vision in my head that I wanted to live in this one neighborhood. And I was like, and I know that my landlord needs to be an older person so that the rent will be affordable. I wanted to live in a cottage. I had no idea how I was going to find this. I had absolutely no idea. It was what came to me in my mind's eye. It wasn't what I wanted to manifest. It's what felt right. It's what came to me. It's what I received. It's not what I was pushing to strive to get. It's what I received. But I didn't push myself to what I normally would have done is go on Craigslist every day, try to figure this out, try to, control the situation. I allowed, I opened, I sat with it, and I trusted. And what ended up coming to me was this next door ad on this app next door of this elderly man who was 94 years old, who wanted to rent out his cottage that was over 100 years old. And the rent was so incredibly affordable. It had been vacant for over a year, and it came to me. It actually came to me on the day of a solar eclipse. So, trust, and I ended up living there for almost 3 years. So it's where I wrote my book. It's where all the origin of this stuff came about. And when you really, really, really start to live this, and you start to trust yourself, you start to trust the feelings that you get about things, the world will show up for you. The universe will show up for you. I promise. It is how I've gotten to where I am today. And I'm honestly, my life keeps getting better and better because I keep listening, I keep trusting, and I keep making bold moves in the direction of that. And this, I really believe, is the crux of self-worth and spiritual power. And this is what I think that is the most important aspect for this solar eclipse coming up on the 14th. We're getting a beautiful, beautiful trine to Mars on this solar eclipse, which is just pushing us even more towards this energy of truth, trust. And ultimately, when you trust what the truth of your soul is, you are ultimately free. And those are the ultimate themes of Sagittarius. And that is what I want you to take with you today. That is what I want you to think about. Please contact me if you need help with this, if you need help getting grounded, figuring out how to work with your intuition, finding out how to be guided from within. I have tons of resources. I have tons of groups. I'm here for you. I love you all. Happy eclipse. Much love.